This is the I Will Teach You a Language podcast, episode 135.
Welcome to the I Will Teach You a Language podcast. Weekly motivation and language learning tips to help you become fluent in any language. Now, here's your host, Ollie Richards.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. It's a beautiful day here in London. The sun is shining, blue sky. It's not too cold. So, this is as good as it gets here in London. Hope you're having a great week wherever you are. We have listeners from all around the world here, from Iran to Uzbekistan to Brazil to Taiwan. So, yeah, I'm super happy to have you here and that you're listening. Thank you for all your support as ever. Today on the podcast, we have what I think is probably, by the sound of her voice, the youngest ever question on the podcast. So I'm looking forward to that. But before we get into that, I'd like to thank the sponsors of the show. And if you are looking for a teacher or a speaking partner or a tutor for the language you're learning so you can get that all-important speaking practice, then iTalki is the place that I recommend you go to do that. If you'd like to get a free lesson, you can go to iwillteachyoualanguage.com/free lesson. So now I'd like to hand over the floor to Anna.
What inspired you to learn so many languages and do this blog? Thank you for requesting or just doing that. Bye.
Okay, Anna, thank you so much for your question, and I hope your name is Anna. You didn't mention it in the message, but the name that was left on the recording was Anna, so I'm assuming that's you. I'm really sorry if it's not, but I'll call you Anna, and then if you have a different name, you can just kind of make believe, pretend you're Anna for a few minutes. Thank you so much for the question, and it's wow. I mean, it's a long story, really. What inspired me to learn so many languages? Back at the beginning of the when I started the podcast in episode 11. Ben asked me, is it really worth learning a language these days? And that was one of my favourite questions, actually, because, he was talking about how you've got all these crazy new software and apps and things that will automatically translate everything. So why do you need to learn a new language? And what I really like about your question, Anna, is that you're not just asking, is it worth learning a new language in the first place? But you're asking, Ollie, what inspired you to learn so many of them? Because you could think it's kind of a waste of time, right? Like, why should you learn so many languages? Well, the first thing to say is that when I was your age, I didn't speak any languages. I grew up only speaking English. And it wasn't until I was actually 19 years old that I began learning languages. When I was at school, we had to do German and French, but I didn't like it at all. It was boring. I didn't know why I was studying, and I didn't remember anything after I left school. But something changed when I was about 19 years old, and I was living in London, which is the capital of the UK, and I had got a job in a cafe, and in that cafe were working people from so many different countries. There were people from Italy, from Spain, from Sweden. And I remember hearing them speaking all these different languages. First of all, I remember they were speaking English with each other and with me, right? And I thought, oh, well, that's good. That's quite impressive that they can all speak such good English. And then straight away, I remember thinking, wow, but I can't speak any of their languages. And I felt a bit silly. And so that was really the first moment, Anna, that I thought, well, maybe it would be quite cool to learn another language. I didn't do anything right away, but very soon after that, I decided to go and live in Paris. And I got on the train and I bought a one-way ticket to Paris. So there was no going back. I got to Paris and I worked really hard. And I studied French there in Paris. And, after 6 months or so in Paris, I was speaking French really well because I did work hard and I tried my best. And, the most important thing, I think, is that I realized that I could do it. I realized that I was not rubbish at languages, and actually, if I want to pick up a new language, I can. So I felt really pleased with myself and I felt very confident. Now, Anna, I don't know if what hobbies you have. Maybe you like drawing, maybe you like playing music, But if, like, for a second, if you just think about something that you enjoy doing, and maybe something that you're quite good at. Now, I bet that you probably feel like doing that all the time and doing lots of it, right? So if you like, I don't know, making cakes, I bet that you wish you could just make cakes all the time, right? Well, that's a little bit how I felt about languages, because I was really happy that I could speak French and speak French with people in France. So what do you think? Do you think I was happy just with French, or do you think I wanted to see if I could learn another language? Well, obviously, like I couldn't help myself, really. I just instinctively wanted to try again and try another language. And so I went on to learn my next language, which was Italian. And then I kind of carried on like that. So it wasn't that I just learned loads and loads of languages all at the same time. It's been a long process. You know, I'm 35 now, and I was 19 when I started. So, you know, I'm sure your maths is great, Anna, so you can figure out how many years that is. But, you know, it's kind of like it works out about one language every 2 years on average, I think, more or less. So it's not like I'm, you know, going at some crazy speed or anything like that. It was really, really gradual. And, you know, when I moved back to London, which is where I'm from, I was lucky because there were so many people from so many different countries around me, and that was kind of my inspiration. That's what made me want to learn more languages. When I went back to London and I would meet people from Spain, and I made a friend from Spain, I wanted to learn to speak Spanish so I could talk with him. And then that, you know, there were more people and more languages after that. But, you know, the important thing was that I think when I was in France, I realized that I was quite good at languages, and so I should really keep going. And these days, you know, now I've traveled quite a lot. I've been to lots of different countries, and I've learnt those languages as well. And, you know, for me now in my life, to speak these languages, I mean, I'm not like really, really good at all of these languages. So, you know, for example, my Spanish is good, but my Italian's rubbish because I didn't keep it up. So although I used to speak very good Italian, I don't really anymore. And so all of my languages are kind of a big mix. But it doesn't matter because I'm just really, really happy to be able to, you know, talk to people in their languages, to watch a movie and understand some of what they're saying in the language, maybe to read something on the internet in a different language, be able to understand it. Right now I'm learning to write in Chinese, which is really cool because they got all these crazy Chinese characters. And it's just something that I have fallen in love with and really, really enjoy doing. And, you know, also it's kind of, you know, I'll be honest with you, Anna, sometimes it's also kind of nice when people turn around and say, oh, wow, you speak these languages. You know, that's nice as well. It's not my main reason for doing it, but it's quite cool, you know. I'm sure, you know, at school, if someone says, you know, if you're doing an activity and someone says to you, wow, Anna, you're really good at that, it feels nice, right? It's a nice thing. So, you know, what I would say to you, and I don't know if you're interested in languages, or if you're interested in something else, you know, languages aren't for everybody. You don't have to learn another language. I mean, obviously I think it's great, but you don't have to learn another language. You can do other things. You could play music. You could write books. But, you know, if you're listening to this and, then I guess that you probably do like languages, or maybe you're thinking it might be nice to learn a language. And so what I would encourage you to do is to think like, okay, you don't need to learn 1,000,001 languages. One language is fine. You can always learn more later. But I would say to you, think about the things that you really love. So, for example, if you like Spanish, then think about, maybe you have some friends who speak Spanish. Think about your friends. If you like Japanese and you like reading comics, manga comics, then think about those comics. Think about the language that you're interested in and the thing that you most like about it. And just do lots and lots and lots of that. And what that will mean is that you will learn the language whilst doing something that you love. And that's what it's all about. Okay, learning lots of languages is not about showing off. It's not about just collecting languages. It's about doing things that you love and that you enjoy and that makes your life better. So I really hope you go on, maybe you're learning a language already and I'm not sure, but I really hope that you do learn another language or many languages in your life, because I think it would be a great thing. But anyway, I would love to know how you get on. I would love to know if you, what language you're learning and what kind of things you like to do. So feel free to leave another question in the future and let me know how you're getting on with your languages, or if there's any tips that I could give you to help. I think that encouraging young people to learn languages is one of the best things that we can do. And so I'm counting on you, Anna, to be the leader in learning and helping encourage people to learn foreign languages for the next generation. So thank you so much for your question. I really loved getting it. And if you would like to ask me a question, just like Anna did, then you can. Please go to iwillteachyoualanguage.com/ask. And there will be a place where you can click a button and you can leave a question. It's as simple as that. So what I would like you guys to do now is to come over to the blog, and I want you to leave a comment and tell me, why do you learn languages? What's your reason? I've given you a bit about my inspiration for learning languages. I want to know about you and what you like. And I'm talking to everyone here, not just Anna, I'm talking to you. Yeah, you listening right now. I want you to come over to the blog and to tell me why you're learning languages. And to do that, you can go to the show notes, which will be at iwillteachyoualanguage.com/episode 135. Okay, that's iwillteachyoualanguage.com/episode 135. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode of the podcast.